Hello, it's me, Ryan and Ditto, back for another Draft League video. First of all, I would have to apologize for the inactivity I've shown throughout these few months. I've just been doing quite a lot of other Draft Leagues, and just been a little bit demotivated to make videos about them as well. But, now with a break in leagues, and me having gained more experience over these few months, I have decided to relaunch my RPA Draft League series, considering now they have Season 12 right around the corner. I have finished the draft, and I am going to do a draft analysis of the top division, which is Cramorant, which covers national decks. I feel like I drafted a better team than I did last time, and I'm very excited to use it in action. Without further ado, let's jump into it. First of all, may I introduce to you my flagship in this league, Chimera the DRAGAPULT. DRAGAPULT is widely considered as one of the best mons in the national decks format, and there are a few reasons why. Let's take a look at its base stats first. It has an amazing speed stat of base 142, that means it can speed creep most mons with minimal EV investment, allowing it to run a damage boosting nature like Adamant or Modest, instead of a speed boosting nature like Jolly or Timid. It also has a nice base 120 attack stat, an okay special attack stat of base 100, and decent bulk all around. The next thing that sticks out is its amazing typing. As we all know, Ghost is one of the best offensive types in the game, and with DRAGAPULT's insane speed stat, it is very easy to use Choice Spec Shadow Ball to demolish your opponent. The Dragon complementary stab only helps in it trying to break down the opposition because it makes it harder for Dark and normal types to check it. As for moves, that's where DRAGAPULT excels at as well. It has the best Dragon physical move behind Glaive Rush, its signature move Dragon Darts. And on the special side, it has really good options as well. Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Hex, and even Scald. Not to mention status moves like Thunderwave, Will-O-Wisp, Dual Screens, and the rare Curse. And there's obviously the possibility of DRAGAPULT running Substitute Dragon Dance on a passive wall and absolutely destroying your team. Give DRAGAPULT a free turn, and it turns out to be Sub-Dragon Dance, the game might probably be over at this point. DRAGAPULT is a really high skill floor mon, and I am really excited to use it with my increased experience in draft. Next, I drafted the Chimera's greatest benefactor, Elsbeth the Enamorous. Enamorous has made a name for herself in post-home OU as one of the best offensive fairy types in the tier. Base 135 special attack paired with base 106 speed makes it extremely powerful, as well as it having access to the most spammable fairy type move in the game, Moonblast. It also has good coverage in Earth Power and Mythical Fire, the flexibility to run mixed with Contrary Superpower, full physical with the aforementioned Contrary Superpower combination, and even being able to run a set of sets with Calm Mind. Enamorous's main role on this team is going to be dealing with the dark types that threaten DRAGAPULT, as well as assisting DRAGAPULT to break down steel types so that Dragon Darts in the endgame looks pretty good. DRAGAPULT plus Enamorous establishes a good breaker core that I can draft around, and I feel like I drafted around this core pretty well. Let's see what my next pick is gonna be. Oh look, it's reliable Ting-Lu yet again. Ting-Lu is the main defensive mon in this core, as it has insane bulk, types that I need, aka Ground and Dark, with Ground being crucial in every single good draft, and Dark being a type that really fits here, as DRAGAPULT is weak to the two types that Dark resists, Ghost and Dark itself. Ting-Lu also gives me hazards, which is really good at forcing chip alongside my breaker core, as well as the free chip move called Ruination. I absolutely love this move, as you just click it, you get free chip, and then that makes your breakers all the more threatening. Ting-Lu alongside Enamorous forms the infamous ground and fairy type core that is unresistible. Ting-Lu is also my form of denying of setup sweepers with Whirlwind. Ting-Lu is not too passive either, it can really go offensive if it really wants to, and there are games where I just led Ting-Lu and killed stuff with it, and that's really funny. Overall, Ting-Lu is a reliable defensive-offensive pick that I have experience with, and I believe can carry me to victory in multiple games. Speaking of defensive walls, say hi to Apocrypha the Jirachi. I somehow managed to snag this guy round 6 for 14 points. What a steal! Pun intended. Jirachi is a steel type reliable recovery, which is a thing I look for in most steel types, but they usually don't have. Speaking of utility options, Jirachi has rocks as well. A secondary rocker is always useful. Wish support for Ting Lu so that it doesn't need to run rest every single game or run protect. Pivoting in U-turn, which is another crucial thing that I was looking for at the time. And the infuriating yellow magic, also known as Thunder Wave. Alongside Serene Grace Ironhead, it forms the infamous Paraflinch combo that many people hate. Jirachi can also set up with Cosmic Power, Calm Mind, Iron Defense, or even Meteor Beam sets. Overall, it's just a really solid, relatively cheap steel type to round out my bulky core with. Also, another pivot. You can never have enough pivots. Speaking of mons I did not expect to get, here's another one. A round 7 Manaphy, whom I named Red Sea because of its access to the move Take Heart in the DLC. If you didn't know, Take Heart is basically a combination of Calm Mind and Refresh. You get +1 special attack, +1 SPDF, as well as healing your existing status. That move on a Rest Talk set is deadly, making it pretty much a better Suicune. Not to mention, it still has access to good old Tail Glow, so it can be as immediately offensively threatening as before, as well as maintaining the Take Heart option for more balanced or stallish compositions. Not to mention, RPA is a Hidden Power League, which means I can use Hidden Power Fire for pesky Ferrothorns that might stand in the way of Manaphy's destruction. Manaphy also has access to Flip Turn now with the DLC, alongside its learned set of like Knockoff and Scald, allowing it to fill a bulky water role on my team if necessary. It's a very versatile pick, I feel like more pivoting, more utility, and more offensive pressure, albeit at the cost of having 2 mythicals and having their base 100 stat spreads all across the board. But still, I'm not complaining. My next Pokemon was Slitherwing, which was one of my Terra captains that I picked up in Grace. Slitherwing alongside Dragapult forms the infamous Ghost and Fighting type combination, which is literally unresistible other than by Hisui and Zoroark, but we ignore that. I don't think anyone drafted that thing at all. Terra Fighting close combats are one of the drugs of all time, trust me. There is this one time my ladder Zamazenta did 1,000,000,000% to Tornadus Therian. That was so funny. As well as powerful first impressions, maybe sometimes even boosted by Terra Bug. That will certainly come in handy in a couple of hyper offense matchups. Defensive Will-O-Wisp sets can also be run with a defensive Terra type, or maybe even Proto Speed bulk up Morning Sun sets with a more offensive Terra type and utilizing Terra Blast. Slitherwing is just a really versatile pick. I feel like you get pivoting, you get revenge killing, you get power, you get so much just from this one pick, and not to mention it's only 12 points. Continuing on my crazy Terra captain streak, I picked Moltres, which is another defensive-offensive Terra pick. Offensively speaking, we have Agility Terra Fire Burnup. I've tried this thing on the ladder before and it is absolutely amazing to just click, burn up, and watch things drop. Terra Water or Terra Fairy defensive sets are also options defensively, alongside obviously Flame Body just being infuriating to fight sometimes. I can just run Wisp, maybe even Whirlwind, Roost, U-Turn, yep, more pivoting. And Moltres gives me my only removal on the team, as much as I hate to say it. But at the same time, removal is fake. We do not care, we just ball. Just looking at my team right now, the Fast Electric is an archetype that I'm so far missing but love from last season, so I gotta draft something that fits this archetype. That's why I drafted Mega Manectric, which fits this hole really neatly. It has some defensive utility in Intimidate while applying pressure with one of the fastest Volt switches in the game. Not to mention, this is a Hidden Power League as mentioned before, so Mega Manectric can utilize Hidden Power Ice or Hidden Power Water to deny ground types, while it's still having Flamethrower or Overheat, which grass types fear. I have to say though, Mega Manectric is fairly one-dimensional considering how many options my other mons have, but it does its job well, and that's all I needed to do. Well, it's low tier time because at this point I only have 4 points left. I'm bringing back a goat from last season, Muck, and I've decided to make it a Terra captain too because I had the points to do that, so why not? Muck has a really good base stat pool for 3-pointer, having base 105 HP and attack, as well as a really good SPDF stat, which makes it a prime candidate for Assault Vest. It also fills a gigantic hole in my team so far, and that is the Grounded Poison. Muck also gives me T-Spikes access, so I can prey on teams that do not have a Grounded Poison as well. Muck also has really good moves, Shadow Sneak for priority, Poison Touch Gunk Shot, and Poison Jab, as well as it gaining knockoff in the DLC, and with Terra Dark it kinda becomes a budget Alolan Muck, which I find kind of funny. Overall, it's just a really nice pickup for the point value that it was at. As for my last pick, we have a one-pointer, Quilladin. Quilladin, I'm actually surprised it was only for 1 point, because it has very usable stats for a one-pointer considering you're holding an Eviolite like almost every single time. It's one of the better water resists, considering how weak my team is to water. It was a natural fit. It has disruptive options like Leech Seed, Spiky Shield, as well as getting some decent offensive tools, notably including Belly Drum, which I find funny. Bulletproof also gives it quite a unique defensive profile, for example, it being completely shielded from like Sludge Bomb or Shadow Ball, so it can actually come to a game or two, which is surprising considering it's a one-pointer, but we take these. Overall, I'm really happy with how my draft turned out. It's a lot of pivoting, a lot of hazards, not enough removal this time around, which I do find kind of concerning, considering a lot of other teams have like spikes and other forms of hazard stack, but at this point, I can just play to its strengths, like run boots on every single mon, and maybe assert offensive pressure enough to the point where if they set hazards, they lose so much value that clicking the hazard button is usually not the right play, you know? These things can be played around, and with my new experience in draft, I feel like I should be able to fix the shortcomings of this team on the playing field, as well as exerting the good side of my draft. I'm really excited to see how far I can go with this team, and I hope you guys are too, so stay tuned. Until then, I've been Ryan and Ditto, coach of the Deranged Ditto.
What was first just a dream has become a frightening reality for those who may oppose us.